First team will be the Brooklyn Nets. I'm gonna go ahead and get the Nets out the way. First team will be the Brooklyn Nets. Reminder: this segment is titled "What's Next." So the whole point of this is for you guys to come up here and talk about what you think is next for that team, franchise, or even players. How did their season look last year? How do you expect it to look this year? Draft assets, capital, whatever the case may be. Brooklyn Nets. Kenny, if you are in the building, would love for you to be able to come to the stage. If not, I know this is a team that many people that's probably up here right now don't really want to have anything to say about them at the moment. So totally understandable. But Brooklyn Nets, man, I'm going to get this started. Last year, the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if D-Mac is in here. Last year, the Brooklyn Nets. Typically, if D-Mac ain't here, you on stage. But last year, the Brooklyn Nets went. Man, my computer moving stupid slow. Can y'all let whoever in the request up on the stage real quick, please? Last year, the Brooklyn Nets. Damn, what's up with my computer? All right. Last year, the Brooklyn Nets went 32-50. 32-50 for the Brooklyn Nets last year. We're gonna go ahead and tap into their depth chart so far this season. Again, my computer is tripping, bro. Like I don't know why it's moving this slow. This is unusual. Let me try to talk on the fly because my computer. I'm lagging. Can y'all hear me still?
Yeah, we hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah. My stuff is tweaking. All right, D-Mac pulled up. All right, Brooklyn Nets last year, 32-50. I don't watch that young lot. Shout out to whoever that do though. But Brooklyn Nets last year, 32-50. As of right now, again, we have D-Mac in the building. I am lagging on my end, y'all. But it looks like they're going to start Dennis, Cam Thomas, Cameron Jordan, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Nick Claxton. This past offseason, they gave Nick Claxton. Thank you, Evan said. This past offseason, they gave Nick Claxton an extension. Obviously, that was a name that a lot of people thought may go elsewhere. Nasty starting five. Coming at media day, Ben Simmons said people forget when he's healthy, he's still a damn good player at basketball.
I'll be fucking damned about that shit.
So that'll be something.
Killian Hayes.
Yeah, Killian Hayes.
My boy Ben Simmons back talking confident about ball. Okay, let's see how this lasts. How long this lasts?
That's another thing to monitor. Killian Hayes is there as well. You got Bogdanovich.
Wait, Killian Hayes is in Brooklyn?
Yeah, he's in Brooklyn now.
When the hell he get there?
Detroit waived him. It was like 2 months ago. Detroit waived him, and they picked him up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Shout out Killian Hayes.
It was around the time Schroeder. It was around the time Schroeder. And I think around that time.
I believe they have their own first round draft pick.
Yeah, we have all of our picks back, fortunately.
Okay. Right. So, good news. Two good things for the Brooklyn Nets for me as far as what's next. Let this season ride out and play out. You have two guys that you probably may want to feature on good contracts. Cameron Johnson and Nick Claxton. Neither one of those guys are making over 25. Well, I think annually Nick Claxton is around that mark. 28, 27, whatever the case may be. But Cameron Johnson is below that. You get a first round pick, have a top five, obviously, and this is a draft class that you got some guys that you can potentially build around, or can sort of kind of expedite your rebuild process. Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, etc. And then, like I said, it's not really anything I can say from a developmental standpoint. You probably D-Mac me real quick. You can probably want to see what Sharp can do for you this year. You probably want to see what. Damn, they're fucking ass.
Yeah, nigga, talk about.
Excuse me, I can't say that while I'm posting this on YouTube later. But yeah, the Brooklyn Nets are ass. Over under for the wins from last year. I think they're
not that bad, bro.
They're
no,
ass,
it's designed to be ass.
Nah, they're bad, but
there's worse situations in the Eastern Conference.
When you say not that bad, what you mean by that?
Shit, Z-Farm, we going.
They still got
win games.
Like, are you
Z-Farm, we going
loss for loss today?
20, 25 games, something like that. Like, they're not gonna be bad enough to get a lottery, to get a top 3 pick.
Yes, they will. You
I'm
tripping?
I'm a-
a,
look,
look, I'm gonna come off the book.
top
Yeah.
three.
I'm gonna come off the books and say it.
They better
Yes.
be.
Listen,
Yes.
bro.
They better be.
My
Wizards,
If they get a
man,
top
my
three,
man
they,
Ben
if they get a
Simmons,
top three,
my
they did that on
man Ben
purpose.
Simmons is
They
back.
can't play
healthy.
these players
And
they
they
got
should
right
Bro,
now.
do.
this nigga
Low,
Ben
they
Simmons do
should
this
do
shit
it on
every year. He
purpose.
played 20
Absolutely,
games,
Low.
come back.
Nah, I
Like
agree
when
with you
Ben,
on that
Ben
though.
Simmons came back
But
and
I'm
Ben
just saying,
Simmons
like,
was
I think if
solid.
they
You
let,
know what I'm saying?
if y'all just
He only
went
played
Ben
20
Simmons
Simmons
is
out there,
games.
terrible.
y'all wouldn't get a top three
I
pick.
can't hear all
He
y'all. I
has
can't hear all
averaged
y'all at the
25
same time,
games.
bro. I can't hear all y'all at the same time.
Well, I gotta go, so I'll go ahead and get my
Yeah, go ahead,
piece
D-Mac.
off
My
real quick.
fault.
Shout out to Cam Thomas. I mean, he is the
Great
last,
debate last night, D-Mac.
player on the team.
Shout out.
He's gonna go out there. He's gonna get a lot of shots up, certainly to say the least. And I'm not gonna complain about him getting those shots. I think that obviously, you look at what we have on the roster. There's not a lot of aspects of hoping for development. Noah Clowney really headlines that for us. We saw some good play from him last year. I want to see him continue to grow and get better, and be more featured from that standpoint. A lot of people on this roster is more so, can some of these guys get off to some solid starts and we can get more assets for him, whether it's a guy like Bohan, who can be a shooter for a team, obviously getting Cam Johnson back on track from that aspect. And obviously that includes Dennis to an extent, but I don't think he's gonna net you really anything from that aspect, even if he gets off to a good start. But the big one is DFS. And he can be a 3D player for a team. So it's really about some of those veterans to hopefully have them be trade pieces at the deadline, continue to lose a lot of games, get some development out of Cam Thomas and Noah Clowney. And look, if you get some type of better development out of guys like Watford or Williams, or somebody just kind of pops, that'd be a nice thing for the second half of the season. But ultimately, we should be losing as many games as possible throughout the season, because it's about who we can draft to build around and get a franchise cornerstone that we need badly.
I second everything that you said. Also, good news: you get to have Ben Simmons off your roster starting next season. So that's something.
Can't fucking wait.
Yeah, that's something to look forward to for Brooklyn Nets fans. Having said, do want you to chime in on Ben Simmons this year, though. How you feel with that?
He's terrible.
Okay, talk to me in
Chill on
January.
my guy Ben, man. Chill on Ben.
No, I'm being
Chill
honest.
on,
And obviously,
Ben.
I think it was 2 years
He's
ago
back
when we were
healthy,
going
man.
into the season. When we were 2 years ago going into the season, I had some high hopes for him and what he could do when he was surrounded by excellent players, what he could do as a role player. But he's not going to be able to do anything with this bad of a roster. And that's if he even gets out on the floor, which I don't believe he will.
Okay. Anybody want to? Thank you, D-Mac. Anybody else want to be serious and comment on what they think is next for the Brooklyn Nets? You can start with their over/under as far as the win that they had last year, expectations
You
for
want-
this season, and what do you think is next for the future?
You want people to be serious about an unserious team? I just want to make sure I understand what you're asking.
Listen, I'm being so free with
I
this
got
team.
2 words for you, bro. Cooper Flag.
No. You know what's crazy?
Nah,
I
Cooper
like
Flag
them.
is a Washington Wizard, bro. Chill out.
Yeah. No, I think
Nah.
they'll be. I think
Nah,
they'll
he
be
not.
slightly better. I genuinely do think they'll be slightly better. But adding a Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey is a really good compensation for them. I think they can get at least 18 to 20 wins this year. I think that's their range is 18.
Now
to
y'all
20.
tripping. They winning more than that. Like they got a solid team. Like not anything.
Nigga, tween.
I'm
Somebody
saying-
gotta lose.
Why would the Brooklyn
You
Nets
still got
want to
Claxton.
do better?
Like, come on.
I'm just confused.
But
There's
now-
literally no reason. Tween is just talking out of his ass.
I
Yeah,
was
I
going to
think-
say, did
nah, I
D-Mac
think
not
they
just
gonna
say that they
lose.
were going to
Bro,
trade
I'm
assets
high.
for
I'm
his
super
guy?
I
high
think they
on
gonna lose
Claxton.
games.
Like
That's why they're gonna
You're
suck
super
in the
high on
second half.
Claxton, where
And then you're
to the
just
point
super
where
high.
to the point where like he can carry their defense for them to like win a bunch of games. Like I'm confused about how
exactly.
high.
I can see
You
them
are
winning
on
20.
track. You are
I
on
can see them
track.
winning. I see them winning 26, 20, around 30,
Whoa.
mid
No,
30s, low 30s.
he not on the good stuff.
Tween,
He on crack.
Yeah.
Tween.
All right,
If they
well,
win,
This shit
who
laced,
losing
bro.
on some shit, nigga? Like who losing if they win?
Yo, Established wants to take your bet, by the way.
I do want to
5K
speak
to me.
all
5K
seriously.
to win 35 games.
I'm
to
gonna
me.
come back to y'all on this point. No cap. Like
You wanna what,
No,
Jacob?
we don't want to come back to this.
I think they had one of the best offseason moves by actually getting their own picks back from Houston. Houston had been calling for a while, trying to get some level of swaps. I think they got their picks back for a reasonable price. If anything, a good price. And I think now they have the flexibility to see what they do in the first 20, 25 games, see if they can slightly overachieve. And if they don't, just go ahead and feel free and comfortable losing out and being semi-sellers. I think they're in a great position. I know that may sound hard because they're not going to win a lot of games most likely. But like, man, like they literally can rebuild the proper way now. and they still have a lot of picks in the bank, right, from the KD trade. So I think this was a really, really crude move. I don't think they'll be good. I think they'll be feisty. Like I think they'll you'll see them like play hard, but it won't like lead to actual wins. If I had to say a win total right now for them, I'd probably say about 20. But I also think picking win totals for teams is really tough because you're going to start seeing some heavy tanking towards the end of the season.
Exactly.
Bad teams are going to lose on purpose, and they're going to be good teams who get extra wins because they have a schedule against teams that are tanking towards the end. So I think win total is a risky proposition, period. But I think they're in a really good position for a team that has to rebuild, and I think they'll still be aggressive in trades with everything, but not early in the season, right? Like they'll try to be opportunists, but again, they'll be feisty. They just won't necessarily be good.
I did just see they have 4 first-round picks for this year. They have their own.
Yep.
They have the Knicks. They have Milwaukee's, which is protected 1 through 4, so it's not going to happen. So it's theirs. And then they have this OKC, Houston, or Phoenix swap, which they can. I think it's up to OKC.
Well, they get to
whether
pick which one?
I think it's up to OKC and who they swap with to decide their swaps. So
OKC gets the best pick.
3.
OKC if I'm correct, OKC gets the best pick. They get the second best pick, and the Rockets get the worst pick out of those. But the jewel is they have their own first round pick. So I think they're in a really good position, to be honest with you. I mean, when I say really good position, I'm speaking from a rebuilding standpoint.
But having 3 first round to just accelerate a rebuild. I mean that's what happened with us this year. Just having 3 first round picks in a class, that goes such a long way. And having 4 even in this good class too. Excuse me. Absolutely, that's going to accelerate this rebuild a year, maybe 2 in advance.
Exactly, bro. Those facts. They should be.
Yeah, ultimately, this is one of those things where I'm hoping to come away, from the draft, with a franchise cornerstone, and then hopefully, some guys that we feel good about possibly being starters, maybe one, and then some role players. So the thing about it is, I really just want to see Watford specifically continue to play. I mean, my bad, not fucking Watford. Jesus Christ. Clowney continue to play well. Obviously, Cam Thomas develop as a scorer and an all-around player because I do think there's a bunch of ways in which he can continue to elevate his game. But that's pretty much all that I need out of the season in addition to the L's.
Yo, the chat is comedy, dog. I want to say J-Dub, thank you. D-Mac, thank you. Anybody else that chimed in? While we're on the Brooklyn Nets, yes. For Z-Farm as well. Good point out with the first round draft pick. J-Dub way to point back to get them getting a pick back from Houston. And Z-Farm just comment on the main thing with the expediting on the rebuild with the first round pick that they'll have this year, and what would obviously viewed as a phenomenal draft compared to last year's draft, which still has some good players in it as well. Yeah, man. Derek typed in the chat, also entertain the ability or opportunity to trade DFS at the deadline if need be, maybe even Cameron Johnson to get more draft picks. And then Kenny also typed in the chat, they got 50+ million in cap space. Don't know what would happen, what they would do with that, but it's, you can't ever go wrong with having the ability to do anything or throw money at somebody that can help your team on court play for a year or 2, or even locker room.
Or take on a bad contract.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Say if they
absolutely, and we'll have the cap space to do so. The other thing I will say is we do have a guy that I think has the actual chance to be a developmental coach, and I mean that from the standpoint of similar in the ways of Atkinson was able to help us and get some things and players playing better. I think that's possible for Jody. So I'll also be watching to see how some of the player development ends up happening throughout the season, just for some signs that he can be the guy to develop the young guys that we end up drafting in general. So that's also a piece of the evaluation from that aspect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man,
any other
Brooklyn Nets got some direction, man. At least they know what they going what they trying to do, man. Ain't that what? Don't you think so, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this. I've said this that pretty much the entirety of my NBA basketball watching career. I would say that, but since I've seriously been trying to talk about the sport, is the worst place to be in the NBA is in the fucking treadmill of death. Being that 8, 9 seed, you get swept in the first round. You're backloaded with contract, so you can't really have a lot of flexibility. You're not in a position to kind of blow it up. That's the worst place to be. And I'm glad that we're out of that purgatory, and specifically out of that purgatory with our own picks now to control our destiny.